Who are we?
I don't know. You tell me.
1 second. Hello and welcome to Sugar, Silk and Stretch, a unique boxing podcast brought to you exclusively by Ace Podcast Nation. My name's Ben Doughty.
My name is Michael Silkolajide.
And I'm Gary Stretch.
Gentlemen, good to see you. I like the way we've got this kind of graphic, a little different today. I fancy a change. Listen, before we talk about the weekend's fight action, Michael was saying only on Friday night's podcast, God knows how long it's going to take Fury's cut to heal. And that maybe that fight can't even be rescheduled even later in the year. You know, maybe it might have to be next year. Suddenly, yesterday, it all comes out, all confirmed. Rematch rescheduled for May the 18th. Turkey Al-Sheikh and Fury are doing a Zoom call with Aegis Kilmas and Alexander Usyk. Slanging match going back and forth. But the basic, bullet point of the whole thing is that they're actually going to have that fight again on May the 18th. And if anyone's skeptical, they say there's a $10 million penalty if anyone pulls out this time. What do you make of that?
Money. Not from the pot, from their own money. I mean, I don't know how they can work that out, but that's what he said.
Yeah, it's got to be their own money because there wouldn't be a pot, would there? If they fight.
Yeah. So, well, he's got time to heal. It's a matter of how the training preparation takes place after that. But he'll have as I would imagine, after a big camp, he'll have a couple of weeks off and let the heal, because he doesn't want to run and pump blood when he's immediately had stitches. He wants to let it settle, and then so a couple of weeks vacation, and then slowly start getting back into it. And I guess he'll spar the last month, which is probably all he needs. It may be a blessing in disguise not to overtrain, but yeah, hopefully it'll come on again. The elusive fight that keeps evading us, but hopefully it'll come on this time. I didn't like the comments of Usyk manager. I thought it was very rude, and I see there's going to be an issue down the line with him. I'm sure John Fury or Tyson will grab him at a weigh-in or something.
Yeah, he said Fury is a coward, and he said he got his bitch to hit him with the frying pan. And Fury, did you see the Zoom? Fury thought he was talking about his wife, and he said, "How can you call me a coward? You've never boxed in your life. And any man who calls my wife a bitch, I'll take his fucking teeth out." And he said, "I wasn't talking about your wife. I don't do that shit." He goes, and then Fury goes, "I'll apologize for that then. I thought you meant my wife." But I think there's going to be some fun.
That's exactly what I told you guys in the first place. I said, nah, he wasn't talking about his wife. It was impossible.
You didn't tell us anything because it didn't happen Friday, the last time.
Yeah, I did. I wrote it on your.
Yeah, but I never thought he was talking about his wife anyway. At no point did I think that. So you didn't tell Gary.
Well, Gary wasn't on, so I mean,
no,
I did.
It was on Facebook. Somebody might have thought. I never thought it
was. Telepathically, I told him.
Yeah, I never got that from it at all, but obviously Fury did. But like Gary says, I think Gary's more sympathetic towards Tyson Fury than you are. I'm probably more of a believer in Tyson Fury. But still, you referred to this phenomenon, Michael, as the Fury effect. So many people don't believe him. They think there's all these rumors going around, right? Conspiracy. People are saying it was Opitar he's sparring with. You can tell by the tattoo on his shoulder. It's not the Russian fellow that they said it was. Some people are saying no. Moses Aitama was the one he was sparring. But there's so many people who don't believe him and think he faked this situation somehow, even now.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's stupid. It was Opitar because on the video, I looked at the video very closely, tried my best. It definitely wasn't Opitar. I don't know who it is, but it's not him.
No.
Different body type, different everything.
Yeah,
not him.
But do you think that's long enough, Silky? Because it's not just about the cut healing, is it? You got to train, haven't you, and spar for the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a conditioning aspect to his program, to his workouts that he has to preparation that he has to prepare for. So he has to get in shape. Sparring is a major part of it. I would say sparring is the most important part of getting ready for a fight is sparring.
Yeah.
And the fact that he won't be able to do that, I'm surprised they put it back this early. I think they're doing that. I mean, I think that's a money decision right there. It's absolutely a money decision. They're like, if we put it out too far out, people are not going to. We're going to lose the momentum and the fan interest and all the rest of that.
The biggest problem, Silk, was not the momentum, was the belts. was the
that
was the last date
the
they could do before the IBF take action, or whoever else is going to take action, or before everyone starts complaining. It's been held up long enough.
Yeah.
I mean, what's a joke is that Joshua, who's lost, a bunch of times, and then you've got Urbovich, who is the number one mandatory. Yeah. Why AJ can fight a relative beginner and the winner get a chance to fight for undisputed is insane, when Herbovich should get the shot first and maybe the winner of them two next. But it doesn't make sense that you could have someone, no matter how good the performance is, 2 fights. You should not be able to fight for an undisputed title when you've got champions out there and 30 fight
title holders anyway,
over 5 years or whatever, sitting on the fence, while some guy walks in because of a box office and gets it undisputed. That for me puts the game in much disrepute,
I think we're already there, to be fair, Gary. But the trouble is, my only problem is, all right, they're pushing Hrgović as the IBF mandatory, right? My only issue with mandatories is they're usually no rhyme or reason to them either. It's usually just the guy that they favoured who's manoeuvred himself into this position that they're doing that bit of business with. Like, Avni Yildirim.
Sanction fees, Ben. Huh? It's sanction fees, and I think sanction fees are percentages of purses, and obviously the various what do they call the fucking belts? The various organizations are just looking to get paid. I mean,
of course. That's why it's not in their interest to have an undisputed champion, is it? Of course it isn't.
No, it's like Crawford. I mean, look at Crawford moving up to fight Canelo when Benavidez has been sat on the fence for 2 years. It's not right. I think what they should do, if they're going to do money fights, and I'm all for the entertainment of a Crawford Canelo, I'd love to see it, and I think Crawford beats him. But they should strip the belts and just have the fantasy fight and let the genuine contenders box off and win some belts.
Yeah, well,
that's a good idea.
I think the whole thing needs breaking and starting again from scratch, really, doesn't it? I mean,
what's sad is boxing is a business, and so look at all these guys who are fighting forever, and you only normally get money when you win a belt. So let these guys win some belts. You've had your belts, Canelo. You've had every belt that's going. So now just take your money fights and your legacy fights and let the other guys earn some money. It's just.
But I don't agree that you only get money. I realise obviously it makes a big difference, and that's the reason why they're bargaining tools. But it's been proven when revenue is really there, the belts are not important. I remember when Floyd Mayweather told the WBC to go and suck it when he didn't want to pay an exorbitant sanctioning fee when he fought Miguel Cotto, I think it was. He said, "Forget it, then take your belt," because it just wasn't important to him. And I think we're reaching a point.
It is money. It's not money when you're talking Floyd Mayweather money, but it is money when you're talking, 20 grand a fight, and then you win a world title, and then it becomes a 200,000, 400,000 a fight. When you put your belt on the line, they have to pay for it. And so it's not money in the big scheme of Floyd Mayweather money, but it's money to the guys who are working fighters. To win a world title, the revenue definitely goes up. They then also can get better sponsorship. They can get a lot of endorsements, public appearances. They can earn a living.
You say that? No, not really, Gary, because world champions these days, some people don't even know who they are. That's the old days. That's your era and the era before. The Alan Minters and even, like you say, Chris Eubanks and your Barry McGuigans and stuff. If Michael Mackinson won a world title tomorrow, he ain't getting loads of sponsorship and endorsement exposure.
No, but if Michael Mackinson won a world title in his own little world, he would go back to his town, and there would be he might get 20 grand to sign it. He would make a living somewhat in his world. It's it's the 1% make the huge money, but these guys can earn a living. These are professional boxers who need to earn a living. A belt would help them immensely. And it's not only that, they've spent 20 years, Michael knows, 20 years to become a champion. A lot of these guys, of course, they want to make a living, but they really just, the dream is to become world champion. So,
but do you think, for instance, Philip, getting back to the original thing, do you think Filip Hrgović is the number one contender in any kind of sane, independent top 10 of the world's best heavyweights. Bearing in mind, Usyk has 3 of those belts tied up, and Fury has the other one. Do you think Filip Hrgović is anybody's number one in any real sense?
I think he gets beat by the top 3.
There you go. So he's
but
not
he's,
anyone.
but he is number one in.
Alone.
Yeah. So
you know.
I don't really have much to say on the subject. I mean, he earned his spot. He deserves his shot. But you know, it's a common thing. I mean, I remember when I was the number 1 contender for Hagler's title, and I was scheduled to fight Hagler for the middleweight title. Sugar Ray came out of retirement, and that just blew everything away. And all you can do as a fighter is go, okay, you know, that's the big money fight. That's what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no argument on that. It's always that's always just been the understanding. The fight that's bigger, that's the bigger attraction, is always going to be made. And I think fighters realize that innately.
If I was lined up to fight Hagler, I would wish Sugar Ray let him come out of retirement. For me,
yeah. You know, Harold Graham was the one who was chasing Hagler as well. Harold Graham really wanted that fight.
Harold Graham would have given him problems because I think he had the style. You know, Hagler was so dominant, but Graham was a different kind of fighter. Of course, you've got to think Hagler would be.
I don't know. I
think Bomber gave everyone problems. You know, he did. He was very difficult in his prime.
What do you think, Michael? When you look at Graham, you think what?
He's a very he's tightly wound. You know what I mean? He's tightly wound, not unlike John the Beast Mugabe, not as obvious,
a very different fighter.
Powerful, yeah. But you know, he throws a lot of, like, he's straight punches, all the rest of that kind of stuff. But he's very tightly wound, and I don't know if fighters like that would do good with someone like Hagler, because Hagler's persistent. He's strong, and you just waste too much energy. You have to have that languidness. You know what I mean? Languidity. You got to be
I sparred quite a few rounds with Mugabe. And you know what the funny thing was? The only thing that he hurt me on was my arms and my hips.
Yeah.
He never touched my face. He was banging me in my elbows, my arms, my shoulders, my hips. Like he was, but you just felt like the longer it went on, the worse it was going to get. Like,
yeah.
I go and steal 4 rounds all day with him, but you think 12 rounds, you know, I'll fight him as an amateur.
Yeah.
You know, he was much more capable. Like, he had many more skills than you would think when you look at him. When you look at Mugabe, for instance, he's not just like a one-punch knockout fighter, just swinging for the bleachers. He absolutely he calculates when he's going in, and he has this quick little pullback. It's not smooth and suave.
Yeah, I like that.
Nice.
You know, he was an Olympic. You know, he was an Olympic silver medalist.
You know, and that's exactly right. And then when you look at it, I mean, really, the best fighters are the ones with that Olympic experience or international amateur experience, because they've seen everything and they've.
Do you know what
they need to know?
You know what? He lost to Andres Aldama of Cuba in the 1980 welterweight final. And Andres Aldama was the guy who lost to Sugar Ray Leonard in the 1976 light welterweight final. Yeah. So it's a nice little lineage there.
Yeah,
but getting back to Fury and Usyk. So, are you credulous, both of you, that this is May the 18th and it's unfortunate, can't be avoided what happened?
I think it's on. I think it's slightly unfair for Fury. I think he's under a lot of pressure now, unfairly. Because
why is it unfair for him? What's unfair?
Well, there's two sides to the coin. It's slightly unfair. He's under pressure because of, you know, everything's got to go particularly well for him. Hopefully, no infection. He could have a slight infection, could put him back. You know, there's many things happen with a cut. He's under pressure now. If he something, God forbid, happens again, he'll get sandblasted, even if it's a genuine, you know.
He'll have to move to Namibia or something.
Yes, if something happens again, he's under immense pressure. But at the same time, one can have the argument you should be under pressure if you gain between $50 and $100 million for a fight. So, you know,
come on, how much sympathy can you have for the man?
Yeah. And so I would fight with my head hanging off for 50 million. So
go on, Silk.
No, I was just going to say, it's interesting how people perceive Tyson Fury differently than they did a while ago. Like at first, it was kind of like everyone was very like aloof about it. Oh, he's funny. He's this, that, and the other. Now all of a sudden, he's hit a different nerve.
He has, and even some of his advocates are turning on him and saying they've had enough of him. They've had enough of the mouth juxtaposed with what we're getting. And so many, you probably saw this in the loop of social media that we're both in on Facebook. Gary doesn't participate so much, but loads of people were saying this fight won't happen. I'll believe it when I see it. I bet you Fury pulls out. And do you believe? I think Gary does. Do you believe in energy? Do you believe in the idea of a mass hoax on something, or a mass jinx perpetrated on something? Because so many people are predicting it won't come off. That maybe it has some kind of force.
No way.
You don't believe in that? Gary?
I believe in I believe in you put it out there sometimes. You be careful what there's many sayings and they don't come from nowhere. Be careful what you wish for, and all this stuff
become things.
I think it's really unfair for Fury, having done everything he's been asked of him in his career, going outside of his comfort zone to win titles, to fight the best at that time, the most dangerous at that time, to get off the floor like a fucking hero. It was like a Rocky movie. All of that forgotten with one silly, bad performance against an MMA guy, I think is very unfair. He had a bad night. He may not have prepared well. He's a human being. He's still got through it, and he still got off the floor to win. I think people are very cruel. You're as good as your last fight. I don't believe in that sentiment. I believe you're as good as your career. And
agreed.
No, but that can only be weighed.
And I think people should leave Fury alone and give him the credit he deserves.
He'll be giving credit when his career is finished, but everyone has the absolute right to judge him in the moment where he's at, and they should state their opinion of him where he's at. So I don't know. He doesn't necessarily rub me the wrong way. I don't really have a strong opinion about him one way or the other. I just know what I know when I look at him. You look at it this way. There's Gary and Ben. Is there one thing when you look at Tyson Fury fight? Is there one thing you wish you could do like he did?
No.
Right. And you look at other guys. You could look at. I wish I could throw a right hand like Rocky Marciano. You go in the gym, you work on it. I wish I could. You know what I mean?
I want to pull back like Donald Curry and counter. And
exactly. Like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Alexis Arguello, all the rest of those guys. When you see greatness, you want to copy greatness. I
know what you mean. Fury never looked like being a great fighter at all.
That I was like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. Or that was amazing.
No, but I'm not a heavyweight. And what Tyson Fury does.
Come on, heavyweights.
No, hear me. What Tyson Fury does is a lot of things heavyweights don't do. And he's 6'8" or 6'7". He moves like a middleweight. He's elusive. He has fast hands. He's got a good IQ. He does a lot of things that heavyweights don't do. Middleweights, all of that, yes. I've always said Muhammad Ali is not the greatest fighter ever. He may be the greatest advocate of the fight game. He's not the greatest fighter ever. He's not in the league of Sugar Ray Leonard as a technician. Yeah, but he's the best heavyweight ever for me. But he wasn't the greatest fighter. There are many fighters technically better than Muhammad Ali. Better punches, more elusive.
Gary, technical is not.
No, but more elusive than Ali.
I don't know if there is a great fighter that's technical. You tell me a great fighter that's technical. Who's the greatest technical fighter you could name?
Good question.
Well, let me say this. You get a Sugar Ray Leonard, you get a Floyd Mayweather, okay? And if you actually take all the panache and the style, they had style and natural ability. But if you slow the motion down, the punches are pretty bang on technical. I used to watch Floyd and watch Ray, and I would slow it down. And in the speed of Leonard, he's still throwing technically perfect shots. And I was thinking that he's a very technical fighter as much as a natural ability.
Floyd Mayweather.
Sorry?
Technical, Michael. Floyd Mayweather, technical. Great. Hello?
Michael
Something weird's happening.
Is Michael frozen?
1 second. You good?
I can see you, but Michael's frozen.
Yeah, and I was lost the volume there as well. It was weird what was going on there. Sorry about this, guys. Michael's frozen, hasn't he? He's frozen because he literally can't deal with what you just said, that Muhammad. Because we had this argument. We had who's the greatest, Robinson or Ali? But when you say greatest, Gary, do you mean greatest, or do you mean technically best? Because greatness is something else as well, I feel. You mean the technically best, most accomplished fighter who could do more things than anybody else? And
no,
you're
I
saying
mean,
it's not Ali.
the best ever. I mean, that has everything. I mean, explosive punching, elusive, the incredible style. Like Ali was amazing at a lot of things, but as a heavyweight, but you know, if he was not, you know, his career, he got hit a lot. You know, I know it was late.
What I was telling Silk when we had the debate, I said he would, because he cites Ali as a defensive genius sometimes. I said no, he was a genius, and his movement was beautiful, and his ability to pull back from shots, and he was quite unhittable for a little short time in his prime, arguably. But he did get hit a lot, especially in the 70s, you know, and before, you know, in the 60s when he was still finding his groove. So,
and he wasn't
Ali
a one.
was not a defensive
He
genius.
wasn't a one punch. You know, technician. He you know, he'd wear you down. He took people out with a shot occasionally, but he was good at everything, and he was an incredible heavyweight, and maybe the best heavyweight ever. But I would have loved to see even Lennox in his prime against Ali. I think that would have been an interesting fight, just simply with the size of Lennox and Lennox's ability, and that would have been. But we can't go back in time, but the greatest fighters ever, even Roberto Duran, Leonard,
Salvador Sanchez,
Pernell Whitaker, Floyd for me is hard to beat in his prime. He had everything.
Yeah, so, although the thing with Floyd wouldn't take the risks though. Floyd micromanaged his career to latterly. So Floyd was unbelievably awesome technically, but he didn't do the heroics the other guys did.
But look what he did with Canelo, half the size, and Canelo wasn't green. He was a 40+ fight professional when he fought.
Yeah, it was an amazing performance.
Did you answer my question?
Silk, your volume sounds awful now, mate. I don't know what happened there.
The volume is too low?
Too loud? Yeah.
Way too low. Try coming back in on the same device you were in before. I don't know what happened. It was a freak thing.
Okay.
It wasn't that you shouldn't be on that device.
Who's dressed you today, Silk?
I don't know. Gay pirate stylist, I'm guessing.
I think Stevie Wonder.
Yeah. Well, I think Silk has got a sartorially sharp style. He's got his own interpretation of that kind of thing. But, you know, yeah, it's a very interesting area. See, we had this debate, me and Michael, before you joined the throng, Gary, and his argument was Ali is the greatest fighter anyway. I said what you said. I said he's the greatest heavyweight, and he's my idol alongside Sugar Ray Leonard. But I feel there's been a few more capable, complete fighters from the lower weight division than Ali.
Ali got so much, you know, he was such an advocate for the sport and a credible, you know, but you say that he had his opinions on race, and you know he wasn't so neutral in his life, and so you know it's all relevant. But I think Ali was an incredible ambassador, an incredible fighter as a heavyweight. But when you look at the great classic fighters, if I was teaching a kid to learn boxing, I would take Pernell, I would take Floyd, I would take Ray Leonard, I would take Salvador Sanchez, and I would take all these guys and make him watch a million videos of them, not Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. What's this? Chris is saying Floyd is technically the best. His defense was never breached enough to take a loss. Greatest comes from your service to the sport and sportsmanship. Well, that's an interesting interpretation. I'm not sure sportsmanship is really a relevant factor of greatness as such, but I understand where he's coming from on that one. Here comes the Silk again. Because I know this is an interesting conversation to have with Silk as well involved. How's it going?
What did I miss?
Let's just keep going. I mean, what your argument was, aside from the Ali thing, which we've gotten into before, is that there's no such. You were saying, name me a great technical fighter. Great fighters tend to be not technical in the textbook sense, and that's why they're great. Partly, that was your thrust, I believe.
Yeah, with the exception of maybe like Alexis Arguello, who technically is,
Silk, if you were training your son to be a fighter, and he was who would you have him watch? Would you have him watch Leonard, Hagler, Pernell Whitaker, Floyd, Salvador Sanchez, or would you have him watch Muhammad Ali, who got?
There's something from all of them. Like I would love for my son, who I taught, to have the instincts of Muhammad Ali, for instance. I would love for him to have the reflex of Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? I would love for him to.
Instincts and reflex are natural born things. They're not learned.
Exactly.
You don't learn reflex. You can train it on hand-eye coordination, but your reflexes are God-given, as is. But I mean, when you're learning to box, you learn the basics. Are you going to learn the basics from Ali, or are you going to learn the basics from someone else? There are many better fighters technically than Ali.
He's frozen again. He's just absolutely stock still like a pillar of salt. All right, we'll keep running with it, Gary. We've got to flow as much as we can. I agree with you, but what I would say, if you look at the Ali that beat Cleveland Williams and Zora Foley and Ernie Terrell, he was pretty close to pugilistic perfection at that particular time for the heavyweight division. I do think Ray had a few aspects to his game that Ali didn't have. I mean, body punching is the obvious one people pick up on. Ali didn't really seem to have that infighting, body punching side to his game. Never really developed it. Never bothered with it. Never relied on it. Never perfected it. But guys like Salvador Sanchez were more complete fighters, I think. And Roberto Duran even, and perhaps a Marvin Hagler too. But I wouldn't say Marvin Hagler was a greater fighter than Ali, though. I don't think I could make that statement in terms of the enormity, both contributions, both resumes inside the ropes. I don't think I could say Hagler was greater than Ali.
No, because Ali had magic in him. Hagler was more of a grind you down, a basic technician.
He had flair,
like Holyfield
and stuff.
He was
like movement.
Movement, great grit, great determination, great mind, strength of mind. Great, he took his share of shots too, Hagler. But he took a shot, but he got hit a lot. If you looked at all the big fights, Hearns, all of the Leonard, he took a lot of. Not often that Hagler came out of fights unscathed, so his defense was not on point as much as. But he was just generally an animal, like Holyfield. He had that. He's just a real, true, solid professional. Did everything good, and then the mind of Hagler used to destroy people.
Yeah,
he'd wear people down. He'd break them.
Sure. So where would you have stood if you'd have been part of the team when we had the debate Sugar Ray Robinson versus Muhammad Ali in terms of who's the greatest?
All day long, another level.
I was arguing for Robinson, but Silk, see, he broke it down aspect for aspect. He said, okay, let's do it then. He said, who's got the best jab, who's got the best footwork, who's got the best hand speed, who's got the best power on a pound for pound basis, who's the best body puncher, who's got the best straight right and left hook, and he went through the whole gamut. And as far as he was concerned, Ali scored on top more times.
I tell you, prime Larry Holmes was a hell of a fighter.
Yes, he was. I mean, I think he's one of the finest heavyweights ever lived, and neither do I think he's underrated. I think that's a cliche. Everybody says he's underrated, but too many people say it for it possibly to be true. Fighting Harada is underrated because nobody ever mentions him. Larry Holmes, perfectly rated. Silk, do you know why this is happening to you?
I believe it has something to do with the Wi-Fi in my house this time. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Well, when we get some more sponsorship, we're going to have to move you to a different place on the Upper West Side, I think. Somewhere where you don't get that squeaking sound either,
We just need to get him outside of the YMCA, that's all.
Exactly that. I didn't want to say it because I wondered if maybe that was homophobic. No.
But he uses it. He goes out at night. He says, I live in a 52-bedroom house. They don't know.
You guys are going to get canceled, the both of you. It's going to be Silk, and Silk.
They already said that you were platformed by White Guild. So
Silk, I need a very important question today, and because you look beautiful, and it's who dressed you today?
Oh, I think I did this myself. I wanted to impress y'all. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You look quite special.
No, I thank you.
Yeah.
I feel special. Didn't who is it? De Niro? He did that song. I can't sing like De Niro, so I won't do it. But
what did De Niro do? I didn't know he sang
the
the song.
song. I'm special, so special. Come on, Gary, you're the actor. You can do it.
I never knew De Niro had a musical foray. Actually, I didn't know he was a vocalist of any kind. But guys, all right. So that's half an hour. We're talking about Fury, and we were getting into an interesting area, which we can still come back to about greatness and Ali and technicality and fundamentals. But briefly,
on a more relevant conversation, Ben, let's talk about Conor Benn.
I was going to go one or the other. But okay,
so before we go there, don't we have to state like what our records are, our prospective records?
And would you like to do that?
Because one of us is in first place and one of us is in second, and one of
ladies and gentlemen who are watching the show, let's mostly just gentlemen, because I know we don't have many female fans. Astonishingly, even though we're two absolute historical heartthrobs, we don't have a big female following as yet on the show. But so, guys, we have a scoreboard based on the predictions we make. Some of us sit out when we feel like it and duck and dive, say we're going to do it later. We never come through. But this is the scoreboard so far. On 16,
some of us give away for karmic reasons.
Oh,
in reverse order.
I'll have you know that I've given away at least two.
Do you want me to announce your score or not? Do you want me to? This is your moment of glory. This is probably the best thing that ever happened to you.
Okay, so another one ever.
In reverse order, from 16 predictions, I have 10 right and 6 wrong. Okay?
So you're 10
Gary,
and 6.
From a total, I am 10 and 6. From a total of 12 predictions, Gary Stretch has 9 correct predictions and 3 reversals.
Okay.
Now, no, sorry. No, you're 9 and 3. So Gary Stretch has 9 correct predictions and 4 incorrect predictions. At the top of the table right now is Michael the Silk Olajide Jr. with 9 correct predictions.
Oh, wait.
Reversals.
Before you announce it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go, guys.
You just gave me a really easy cut up for Instagram there. Well done. You're starting to use your acumen here. You're starting to use your loaf a little bit. Yeah.
Wow. Sugar and spice.
Yeah. So listen, the thing is, it means so much to him, Gary. You can tell, can't you? I mean, I walk away from this. I don't think about it. I think he really is invested in this.
Sugar, come on.
There's nothing. Look at the clothes. When he gets stressed, he commits. When he calls a fight, he commits. When he wins, he celebrates in commitment. He commits always.
Just a passionate person, yeah. Okay.
He's a very passionate man.
Well, what's wrong with being right? I don't understand.
What's wrong with being right? I love that.
You're a bright, shining light.
Yeah. But
okay, now you can announce my record. I'm 10 and.
You're 9 and 3. Stop exaggerating and make doctrine of figures.
You were 9 and 3. I was 9 and 3.
You did not go any further. You just stayed still. I just lost one because you wasn't in the game.
Yeah, I told him that, but
you didn't win anything.
I did.
That's what I'm trying to tell him. But
you sat on the fence. You never called it in. You said you was going to call it in.
And he did that last week as well.
No. There were two fights yesterday. One I called in.
Yeah.
Only the Conor Benn. We all called it in.
Okay.
So we all had one more win.
Okay. So how am I at 9 when I was?
I had 2 more because I picked Boatse as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'm 10 and 3, right?
No, you're not 10 and 3. You're 9 and 3. You didn't take part in the other one.
Oh.
Gary's 9 and 4 because he took a punt on the fight you didn't, and he got a loss. You get it? Let's not waste time on this.
And I said it's for karma. I'm going to give it because Ben liked the guy and he wore.
This is not interesting. I suspect this is not interesting from a viewer perspective at all. So can we move on and talk about Conor Benn since Gary wanted to deal with that one first? Okay, go on, Gary.
I was disappointed. Of course, I don't know the strength of Dobson. Is he better than we think? I don't think so. What it did underline was Conor Ben's not, in my opinion, as much as I love him, he's not ready for the elite. And I'll give you an example. Dobson, a very simple thing. He threw a very slow jab consistently, and it came back to his chest. Any top level Crawford, top level A-list would have put the right, timed it and threw the right hand over the top, fight over. Conor's timing seemed to be off. He overreached a lot. There was a lot of flaws, which I'm sure he can get right, but he's not ready yet for the category that I felt he
was ready for. You know what some people are saying,
now
don't you guys?
I put the Eubanks fight and the Conor fight are much more close.
Even fair. You know what some people are saying, don't you?
Now, Ben, you do know that's a reversal of what he was telling us before the fight.
Look, Michael, you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to watch something and be a man about it and admit that you're thinking is it.
I said he was
rather
the most.
Than just being a stubborn fuck and holding your ground at all costs and dying on that goddamn hill.
Thank you, Ben. I said I was excited about Conor. He was the most exciting, and I still think he's the most exciting. He commits. You got to love him for that. It's also difficult to get someone. You know, we all know when you throw offense, it opens up. You know, you become open to getting hit. And Dobson was very much on the fence. Talked about being a dog. The only dog he was a dog running off all the time. Ben went after him from round one, as he said he would. There's no mystery with Ben. He goes to fight. Everyone knows he's either going to knock you out or get knocked out. He never got knocked out with Dobson because Dobson never threw much. He's like, Ben tried. You got to give him that. But in his trying, he didn't execute as a elite top level. He
certainly isn't elite top though. I mean, could you imagine him against?
He has potential, but he's not there yet. I hold my hands up.
Well, hang on. You know what people are saying, don't you? You know what people are saying. They're saying, now you're not on the juice. You can't knock these guys out. And that's why you've gone there. I mean, I know the Mexican guy was a tough hombre, but they're saying you're not getting rid of these guys because you're not on the gear anymore. That's what they're saying blatantly.
Yeah, but it's not fair. You know, both fighters he fought were bigger too. Let's see him fight a 146 guy.
Do you know what? I heard he rehydrated Ben to 170. According to Lee Groves, who's a CompuBox number compiler.
Not only that, his opponent Dobson was under 147 as well.
No, he wasn't. They both weighed 150.6.
Okay, but
they both did.
I hear he rehydrated 20 pounds, Gary. I'm not sure if it's really.
Well, I understand, but you're still fighting a 147 guy, so I'd like to see him fight a true welterweight and see if the power's there. Like,
but they both weighed the same coming in.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, but if I'm a welterweight and I get weighed heavily because I'm not drying out, you know, it doesn't.
Well, obviously he did dry out because he came in at 170 afterwards, right?
Yes, to a degree. I mean, most guys lose.
Down.
Most guys walk around 10 pounds heavier than they fight. You know.
I know.
He's fought two bigger opponents. I'm not defending him. He should have got rid of both. Well, not the other one, no, but he should have got rid of Dobson. I think. Yeah. I think if you put Dobson in with someone like Crawford or any of these guys, he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there after 10 rounds. But so he showed some clinks in the arm. I hold my hands up.
What's this guy on about? What's this guy on about?
In the armor were actually
What's up, Ben?
It's an ability. It's an ability, right? It's an ability to be able to put your opponent away, and he's able to. He's a good puncher. He's respectable. He can throw any punch. His release is great. All those things we were talking about before. He's all good with that. But there's a knowledge in knowing, you know, when you got the guy on the cusp and went to step on the gas and hit him with the shots that are going to end the fight. And that is what he's kind of lacking in. I don't think his physicality is lacking. I think he's.
Do you know, people are still talking about Fury and the cuts and Usyk and all that, and that's what all the comments are having their debate themselves.
Yeah.
What I'm aware of is we've got quite a lot of viewers compared to the average for tonight, and they're still hanging back on that Fury thing. So I didn't understand when the gentleman said the Americans are sickened because their blue chip American African was a dud. And I was trying to figure out who he was talking about. He was talking about Deontay Wilder, I think. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Keep going, Silk.
I lost my train of thought.
I knew you would. It's literally you have to keep talking, or you've literally.
You did that on purpose. I know you did that on purpose.
I didn't do it on purpose. I was just trying to make sense of what the viewers are saying.
Around now, we can go back to Tyson Fury if you want.
No, we don't have to. I mean, it's we're trying to move on.
It's definitely an interesting topic for me. I don't think we've hit. I don't think we've hit the nail on the head for that. The Tyson.
Well, we can come back to it, but let's finish it with Ben. Like I say, people are saying his inability to put a dent in that guy last night certainly is indicative of somebody who's not doing what he was doing before. I wonder where we go from here, really, because I guess he's going to have a hearing in Britain with the British Boxing Board of Control and UCAD at some point this month or next month, from what I understand. And I guess we'll go forward after that. But Gary, if he fights Eubank, let's say in the spring or the summer, are you still confidently predicting him to walk through Eubank?
Depends on the weight.
Okay.
If you really think the weight makes that much a difference?
I think it makes a lot of difference to Eubank. And also Ben is obviously not as effective the higher up he goes. I do think that the more interesting fight would be Devin Haney. As much as Haney's a more polished fighter than, let's say, Eubank, I think it's a more interesting fight with Ben. I don't think Haney's particularly a big puncher. I think he can hurt you, but I think that's a more interesting fight because of the weights, because of the styles. I would much rather, as a fight fan, watch Haney Ben than probably Eubank Ben.
But what has he done to deserve a shot at Haney anyway? I wouldn't mind saying it.
23-0 with 14 knockouts. So what has Ngannou done to fight fucking Tyson Fury?
We know that, but
it's a commercial fight.
That would I?
It's a fight that's interesting. Or do you want to watch Haney fight who?
I'd rather see him fight Lomachenko again because he got beat last time and I gave it to him. I would like to see him fight maybe Tank Davis or Shakur Stevenson.
The thing is with Ben, what you've got to give him is whoever he fights, it's going to be fun because he's either going to get beat and knocked out or he's going to try to knock him out. I mean, he's always interesting and exciting, whether or not he executes, but he's turning up to have a tear up. And that's, I think, his commerciality. If Ben fights Haney, he's going to go after Haney like a madman.
Whether he gets for a world title fight.
I'm thinking when I think of someone's
Lisa here.
Okay. When I think of Johnny the Heat Verderosa versus Cornelius Boza Edwards, and Johnny the Heat whooped a lot of guys. Like he was exciting and he was energetic and he beat a lot of guys. He beat Sean O'Grady. He done really well, and you'd expect him to do very well against somebody. But when he came up against somebody that was legitimately strong, lightweight, hard punching, Cornelius Boza Edwards, he got absolutely thumped in that fight. Like his talents didn't even matter. What was were pretty much irrelevant. And that's what I see with Conor Benn. If he were to step up against the elite of the 147 right now, which would be Crawford or Ennis, it's like, no, that's not the move. This kid needs to be nurtured a lot more. He needs to be taught a lot more. His confidence at that level wouldn't be there either. I mean, if he went in there against those guys, I don't think he would be. I don't think he would show the level of confidence that he showed going up against this kid. Now,
look at Nigel Benn. He wasn't the most technically perfect.
No, but they're different.
He had ferocity and excitement and power.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But he was. Sorry, but he was good at his weight, and he pretty much stayed at his weight, middleweight to super middle. He stayed in his own comfort zone. He didn't try and go up and down the scale, but
I don't see why anyone should.
But I think Conor has a lot of pluses on his.
No, he obviously does. You're right, Gary. He's talented in that. He's got talent, and he takes the initiative. He's aggressive. He's the things you want to see as a fighter. But no, he's not the level of his father yet. He's not the ability of his father yet. His father was a different beast, absolutely. And he has like his father, he has like no hesitation, no reservation. He does believe he's the best, and you need that as a fighter. But his father also had a way of Nigel also had a way of like he took his strengths and he made them an issue for anybody else that was going to fight, and so he was able to impress his style upon other people, and that
He
isn't
was
that,
also a way bigger puncher, I think, or a significantly bigger
yeah,
puncher.
absolutely that as well, and everything he threw was with conviction. He was 100% in, and he would be willing to take it as well, and I see Conor Ben disengage when he gets hit. If he gets touched, he disengages. If his dad got hit, when his dad got hit, his dad was like right there and he's swinging back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
if you
think
hit Nigel, you was in more trouble than if you didn't hit him, because he used to come at you like
the wounded tiger syndrome. You know,
he was the most dangerous when he was hurt. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, there's.
So, go on.
I think Conor's probably a little bit more athletic than his dad.
You think he's more athletic than his dad?
I think he's more athletic. I think he could be he has the potential to be a little bit more slick. But of course, the power, he doesn't have his father's power. And I don't think he has his father's. His father found, like you say, Michael, he found a way to always get there somehow. He executed. Conor's still searching for that. He tries, but he's not there yet.
The kid hesitates a lot, and he hesitates for a reason, because he's uncomfortable. Now, he's not understanding. He doesn't understand what his opponents are doing. Something's caused him to hesitate, because as soon as he gets hit, it's like, oh my God, I got hit. And then like, I have to think about a new way to approach this. And whereas his father would be like, I got hit. And that's what happens in the fight game. You got hit, but here, while you hit me, hold this and see how you like it.
Is that experience, Silk?
I don't believe so. I think it's a characteristic trait. I think it's something like his father was extremely like an aggressive. I don't care. I'm going to get you. You can hit me, whatever it is. And I don't think his son is comfortable with the same levels of discomfort than his father was. And I only say that like I haven't seen the kid that often, but as much as I've seen, he's talented. He's definitely got talent. He definitely has ability, but it needs to be cultivated more. He needs more cultivation in order to, I think, break into the top. I guess the top five. I guess now welterweights are about 5 deep. Is he rated in the top 10 in the world?
Not by any independent ranking body, no, like with any sense, but with sanctioning bodies, yeah, with the WBC is. But that's what I mean. If you're not ranked in the top 10 by Ring Magazine or Boxing News, then you're pretty much not really there in real terms. Yeah. You know,
where is he in them? Where is he in Boxing News and Ring?
Someone would have to check that for me, you know. But you know,
I'm
that's
sure it's top 15, right?
Maybe just about, but he ain't in the top 10. I'm pretty sure.
I think he should be in the top 12.
We'd have to go through those names, wouldn't we? You'd have to justify that position, but I don't think he's truly. I don't think he's a world-class fighter yet. I think that's the essence of what Michael is saying, and we shall have to see where his career goes from here politically. As much
problem with Conor Ben at this point, somewhat management, and that means to me, stop flying all over the place, pick your weight, dominate it, and then move around. First,
he's a welterweight, wasn't he? Then he's fought over.
Yeah, but he's all over the place. He wants to fight this guy, that guy. He's looking at all these fantasy fights. Like, first, find your lane, and find a lane where you dominate, where you are a big puncher in that lane, where you are dominant in that lane, and master that lane. Stop trying to find all these different money or intrigue fights. Master what weight you're going to fight at. Get comfortable, get some results at that weight, and then once you've satisfied certain achievements, then you can start moving around. Right now, he's all over the place.
Okay, I think Eddie Hearn, basically, Ben, I think Eddie Hearn knows that his fight against Eubank is the only real fight that's going to make sense.
I agree with you. I think that's the only plausible fight they feel confident about where the big money has. And it has to happen in Britain. And for it to happen in Britain, in Britain, they have some political jurisdictional things to sort out. Let's wrap Conor Ben for now, because I know some of our audience don't like us giving him too much attention. because of the way he's alienated boxing fans with the drug stuff. And some of them think, we don't want to flog a dead horse and go on about it forever. I think we've addressed his performance last night now. I was pretty impressed with Joshua Buatsi last night. I thought it was a really good look. I was impressed with the way he went about the job. I was hoping Aziz would do well because I know and like him, but I thought Buatsi showed he had other levels, and it was a great performance. Gary?
Yeah. He looked like the better fighter. The better fighter won. He was sharper. He was more polished. He was more effective. He looked like he hit harder. The better fighter won. Grave effort for the loser, but the better fighter won. I also liked what he said at the press conference. He was very humble, and it was a good all round performance against a good opponent. But again, this is not elite world level yet.
No, this shouldn't be. They were British title fights. There was a British.
Yeah, but they're looking at Buatsi to go on and beat all these guys. If you can't put Aziz away inside 12, the elite would.
But trouble is, that's the trouble. We're always in a hurry to make world champions out of everybody, and because it's a supply and demand, there's so many world titles available.
We like to see
he was wanted to be a world champion.
Fighter. I like looking at a fighter and saying, "Oh my God! Like, how have I not seen him before?" And he has the potential to do this down the line. And I didn't look at either one of them and say, down the line, these guys have the potential to be great. You know what I mean? That's what you want to see in fighting. You want to see.
But you're not going to see it all the time. Greatness has got to be special, otherwise it wouldn't be greatness.
Yeah, exactly. But
you don't have to be perceiving it to get excited.
I want to see something that I haven't seen before. I you know what I mean? I'm tired of like the same old guys standing toe to toe and not. You know what I mean? And all these abilities are out there. They're reachable. They're teachable. And they're not being used. It's like you just have two guys throwing the basic same old left, right, follow with the left hook, and stand in front and either take the shot or.
That's what you thought of Buatsi last night. That's what you thought of Buatsi last night, yeah.
That's not what I thought of him exactly, but I'm just saying it in a bit of an exaggeration. That when you see people doing things like basic, it's just like you want to see better, and an individual can do better, and it's frustrating because like that knowledge is out there.
That's why you get these special fighters every once in a while, because they're special. There's not a lot of them around.
Yeah, exactly that.
I mean, I think it's also because like they have the mindset to go in the ring and push themselves in that way, but it's almost like the people that are teaching them are not implementing that stuff at an early age.
I tell you who became a prospect last night, who I really liked, Johnny Fisher.
Yeah, over in the States, he boxed on a Vegas
Johnny
bill.
Fisher crossed a barrier last night that he defined himself as someone to keep their eye on. Before he was a young kid coming up, but last night I think he graduated somewhat. And was a clever, he's a little wild, but he's control wild, and I think Mark Tibbs is doing an incredible job with him, and I think he's coming on, and the way he's set up the attack, and then of course when he gets the attack he goes crazy, but and rightly so. He does it in a very educated way. I think Mark Tibbs is doing a fantastic job with him. And I think last night he graduated to people are going to start taking him serious, So I was very happy for Mark and for Johnny, because I think it was a great win for him. I think he will come on leaps and bounds and just get better and better now.
Ben, can we go into the questions? So, like, people are asking questions in this. I think I find a lot of them very interesting. Can you?
Okay, let me talk about this one, because just before Jughead got on there, another gentleman said Roberto Duran is the greatest fighter of all time. Not even Sugar Ray Robinson or either Sugar Ray Matches or Ali. Duran is the greatest fighter ever. And this guy says, I respect your opinion, but I disagree. Sam Langford is the greatest boxer of the last 120 years. Respect your opinion, though. Duran is my second favourite boxer. So some people, I was explaining this today. I did my historical London boxing tour today, and outside of the old National Sporting Club in Covent Garden, I was mentioning how Sam Langford wants that. There are people who will tell you that Langford is the greatest fighter of all time. Not Ali, not Sugar Ray Leonard, not Sugar Ray Robinson, not Roberto Duran. not Henry Armstrong.
I think,
but,
Ben,
you know,
in fairness to the public and to the people who are tuning in and to all of us, I think what defines people's opinion is the style. It's like what style do you like. You get a degree of a Leonard, a Duran.
well, that's obviously not what. No, but that's obviously not what influences someone.
No,
who
I
Langford,
think it is because
they have not seen Langford. They haven't seen
no,
Langford.
but I'm saying, Ben, when someone picks Roberto Duran over Sugar Ray Leonard, it's not technical. Or they just think that's the style they like.
No, I disagree, Gary.
It definitely influences what makes you choose.
I spend all week debating boxing with people every day, all week for the last 15 years online. And a lot of them have come in from a historical angle. They go about most major wins, prime losses. Not everybody is talking instinctively style. To be fair, I think fighters are more like that. Professional fighters tend to.
Yeah, because you say, who do you like the best? And I
know.
I favor the style I like.
But no one could possibly name Sam Langford as the greatest fighter of all time based on liking his style because he's only grainy black and white footage and it's pretty sparse. It has to be resume based. Silk has got a problem with that. Silk says, I don't care how awesome your statistics are, especially if it happened before the First World War.
I didn't say I don't care. I just don't think it's the number one thing.
No, I understand that. I understand that's your position. But you realise that is a legitimate point of view amongst some historians that some say Harry Greb, right? They say Harry Greb's the greatest fighter ever lived. His resume is untouchable. Some of them say Sam Langford is the guy. That is a thing. And
what you have to take into consideration to his longevity. I mean, we can all have an incredible night, but you have to look at time and time again where these guys deliver against incredible opposition. So there has to be an element of, the number of times they've done it. And I don't think you can become the greatest of the greats unless you proved it a series number of times.
Agreed.
And a lot of the ones that we're talking about, from the Ray Leonards to the Durans, they have.
Well, the thing that hurts Leonard when historians start talking about resumes is his stats are relatively brief because he only had 40 professional fights. But what I say as a caveat to that is what a resume is over 40 fights. So when you look at the scalps of Benitez, Duran, Hearns, and Hagler, I don't know of anybody beat 4 better opponents than that in a career, even if they had 200 fights. So that's the caveat I would raise.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And and these guys were at their best as well.
Yeah, pretty much for the most part they were. So, but there are many ways to approach it from. I think ultimately I prefer to judge fighters on what they did than hypothetical matchups against other guys across the, which is only ever going to be a hypothesis, however passionate you might be about it. So I like to judge a fighter. If someone says, oh, come on, Lennox Lewis would have KO'd him, he's greater than Joe Louis, I say, I'm not going to pontificate about the hypothesis. What I will say is I think Joe Lewis's body of work is better. You know what I mean? So, but Michael is a big believer, and I do agree with him as well, that it's the how that matters too. It's not just a question of a line of wooden soldiers and historical facts and achievements. There has to be that organic. That guy was fucking brilliant. Look what he did back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was going to say more questions. Let's go. You can get a couple more. We only got one there.
Okay, well, there's a whole bunch of them, man. There's a whole bunch of comments. Where do you want me to start? There's a lot tonight. Like I say, it started with the Just Denis, who said Duran is the greatest fighter, said also good trainers are gone. They're even more rare now than great fighters.
Yes, absolutely true. Great trainers are gone. People don't approach it the same way. It's like you get a Volkswagen and you have this reproduction line and everyone just does the same thing the same way. And the only originality that comes in is when somebody like a great fighter comes to the top, like Floyd Mayweather, and all of a sudden everyone's shoulder rolling. But now that he's not there anymore, the shoulder roll isn't in fashion anymore. So now they're doing something else. I think that's.
Who is the stylistic leader today? Is there one?
Is there a stylistic? No, I mean, I think Davis is too real for people. Nobody wants to do that. That style is about work, right?
I don't think that trainers are even. I mean, there's so much jumping around now with fighters. If you look at Hagler and Leonard and Hearns. I mean, they stayed with the trainers forever, you know.
Leonard didn't quite, but yeah.
Well, generally he did. He may have moved once, but
well, no, he got rid of Dundee, didn't he, after the Hagler fight, I believe.
But that was the end of his career, wasn't it? Really?
True, yeah.
So,
but you know the interesting thing about Leonard, I think we touched on this before. He said Angelo Dundee never really trained him anyway.
I don't think he was a trainer, Angelo Dundee. I thought he was a motivator.
Well, he worked with Michael, so Michael will have a good opinion on that.
Yeah, no, well, he's a strategist. He's extremely knowledgeable. So he was a strategist. He reads. He can read the energy. He can read, you as a fighter and what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and what you should do. So I would say strategist, trainer. He wouldn't tell you how many rounds you got to do on the bag, but he's looking at it in sparring, say, well, that's going to work. That's not going to work. This is what we got to do. A lot of times, he's also like, for a lot of fighters, he was a stepping stone. If you have Angelo Dundee in your corner, it's going to guarantee you more money because the interest is.
But again, it's like, that's not a trainer. When you're telling someone you have to throw the right hand here, this is the strategy. But who's teaching you how to throw the right hand? That this is the thing.
Yeah,
this is
but
the problem with today's fighters. It's like the Ben Davies or whoever, the Davids and whatever. These guys are getting fighters, and they're good for these fighters because they're telling them how to be and what to do. But the fight is already made.
Of course,
so they're just switching hands. Some people are better motivators. Some are better, But it's not like the fundamentals. Like I remember I trained with Bill Miller. Years ago, who was a great trainer. Bobby Neal was a great trainer. He was so knowledgeable with the intricacies of punching and detail. And he was a teacher. There's so few. Johnny Clark, believe it or not, who I love dearly. Johnny he was so dedicated to the craft. Now it's people are strategists, motivators. They're getting fighters, many at the end of their careers, and reinventing them because of psychological benefits or strategy. But it's what I say about the old fighters. They came up from the beginning, and they taught the guys the fundamentals and took them all the way through. Now it's it swings and roundabouts. Everyone's jumping back and forth here, there, and everywhere. Who's the in guy at the minute? Is it Sugar Hill now? He's going to get he has a good win, and now his gym's full of people because he just beat Deontay Wilder or whatever.
He's been a bit quiet lately, by the way. Where is he, by the way, Gary? I've not seen him with Fury.
I think the whole Fury camp went quiet when I think there's two opinions. They went before the cut. Fury vanished. And there was two opinions. Is he uncomfortable and keeping quiet, or is he going to come out, say nothing, come out and do a demolition job and then really make a noise? No one will know because the fight is off. But he seemed very quiet on the interview today. At the end, he went off on the manager. But throughout that, he was extremely... Maybe he's with Turkey Ali, with His Highness or whatever.
His Excellency.
His Excellence. Maybe he was being respectful of the company, but he was extremely contained for Tyson until the end. When it was all when His Excellency had finished, then he let the manager have it. But up to then, he was extremely quiet. Usyk was interesting to me. He looked very angry. He looked very serious. They asked him what he felt about when he heard about the cut. He said, "I just smiled," and I don't know what that means. And they said, "What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? Now that the fight's postponed?" And he looked at the camera. He went, "I'm going to keep training." So again, I don't read into that as anything important, but it was interesting dynamic.
Yeah. So
it's almost like the roles changed a little. Usyk became the arrogant one, and Fury was respectful and kind of laid back. And Fury, when he went off, he has every right to go off with some idiot calling him a coward who's never had a fucking fight in his life.
Yeah.
Well, they have too many trainers these days talking smack, especially fathers and sons. And
promoters and managers who've never fucking raised the glove in their life. They have so much to say. It's just a joke.
Nuts. I'd be if I would like to see them put the gloves on immediately and get in back.
Once.
Yeah, I mean that. People do talk with too much entitlement on the whole sweet science when they've never been in there and had a punch in the mouth. You know, it's you get some people who are very knowledgeable about the game and they have never taken a punch, but there is a level of respect and deference that you should have if you've never been in there at all, amateur or pro, or even when people talk about training, this guy's useless. He couldn't teach a dead pigeon to lie down. They've never trained a boxer. They never coached anybody, even when it was an amateur. Newham ABC or
when you think about that, what does that tell you about boxing itself? It's like the entry level to become a professional boxer is really quite low. It's lower than any other professional athletic.
And it's never been lower in the UK. Certainly, they might have tightened up a bit more recently, but there was a period about 10 years ago when anybody was getting a license, you could be a one-eyed fucking...
Hey, ain't got bouts.
Oh, sorry. I didn't even think about that. When I said that.
You could be any old one-eyed.
You're not a paraplegic, but...
I am at the minute.
Yeah, so I'm projecting with my two co-hosts' disabilities, aren't I? I'm like,
mine's been a very slow recovery, very slow. Still rough. Yeah. Training slightly, but not the same. But it's going to come back, but it's very slow recovery.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah,
but
yes,
I think Panama Lewis had a protege that learned the crooked ways, and he did this shit on Sugar Shane and got caught.
Ben, what is coming up fight-wise?
Next week in Britain, you've got Hamza Shiraz, that upcoming prospect that I did an interview with on the channel, who's fighting Liam Williams I believe it's at the Copper Box next weekend. Not too far away. We thought we'd get Fury Usyk on February 17th. Obviously, we don't have that now. But not too far away is Joshua Ngannou. That'll be March the 8th, which we'll be there soon enough, won't we? That's what.
And I think that's going to be a one-sided thumping. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I hope it is, Michael. I hope it is. It's. Yeah. I don't know what to say. If Ngannou somehow wins, I don't know what to think about anything.
Well, I mean, we know the state of heavyweight boxing, and I've never agreed that it was. For me, it's been its worst state it's ever been. I've never seen it worse than how it has been.
What about the Klitschko era? What about the Klitschko era?
That was pretty terrible too. But I mean, at least you did have a couple of checks in there. There was that kid out of South Africa. He was a nice fighter. He knocked Klitschko out, in fact, and so did. I mean, there were some fighters that made it.
Who, Samuel Peter? You mean?
No, not Samuel Peter.
Because he didn't knock Klitschko out. Who knocked Klitschko out? Corey Sanders.
Corey Sanders. Yeah. Yes, he knocked him out, and there was then there was another kid who knocked him out. How can I forget?
Lamont Brewster.
Lamont Brewster. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that. I like Lamont a lot. Sorry, Lamont.
Is he related to Darwin Brewster?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought Darwin Brewster.
Darwin Brewster was a Welsh black guy, right? Who boxed out of the Thomas of Beckett.
I fought him, yeah. Early in his career.
I don't think they were
shadowboxing at the Thomas of Beckett,
but Brewster had that incredible left hook and good puncher. And anyone who hasn't seen that fight, they need to see it because it was a one-sided, it was a beatdown. This kid showed so much heart. And Klitschko could punch. He was carving him up.
Who had the best left hook in the business?
Who has the best left hook?
Who had the best left hook? I think my friend, I'll name him in a minute. Who did you think was the best left hook?
Whatever. Ever.
That's so hard to say.
Not ever, but let's name 5.
Joe Fraser, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Fraser, Robinson, left hook. So it doesn't count if you're a southpaw and you're a right hook.
I'll tell you who was underrated. He had the greatest left hook in the business was Carlos Palomino.
Yeah, he was a great left hooker.
Used to call him at school the hook. That was his name. Yeah. Used to eliminate everyone in the gym with the hook. They used to call him the hook.
Bob Foster.
Used to say, put the hook on him, Carlos, and he said that would be the end of it. Yeah.
Jughead said Cyclone Hart. I think he was putting him up for the greatest left hooker ever.
Excuse me,
Jerry Cooney. That's a good.
Bob,
not a bad one.
Bob Foster. Bob Foster.
Bob Foster, and he had a hell of a right hand too, Silk.
Yeah, his left hook though. You see,
but that left hook he wrecked Mike Quarry with was something else, wasn't it?
Man, he hit. Didn't he hit Dick Tiger? He knocked Dick Tiger out with the same thing.
Oh yeah, man. It was slashing because he threw right hand, left hook, and again right hand.
Exactly.
Left hook,
yes.
Or something like that.
And nobody put a 10 count on Dick Tiger that I can remember anyway.
No, that was the only knockout ever suffered by Tiger. Absolutely right.
Ben, it's 2:15.
Yeah, you know what? Quickly, this is the most engagement we've ever had and the most live viewers we've ever had at the same time. The annoying thing is once it goes into our videos, we don't get all these comments. We don't retain them or the views. We have to build them again from scratch. That's the way it goes in the live podcast. But we are starting to break through, gentlemen, because this is the most engagement we've had. And there's names on here I've never seen before who are all talking, wanting to get involved in this magical boxing show with three very charismatic co-presenters who all know almost too much and are trying to talk over each other the whole goddamn time. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. And before we go, before we go, you want to remind everybody we have this running bet kind of thing, and I don't know, is there a prize for the winner?
You get to play James Brown and get a sense of like inordinate entitlement that doesn't even make sense proportionally. Yes.
No. I'm saying, is there going to be an end to this, or is it just?
You saying is there a goal like the first one to reach 30 points with
like somebody get a title belt or something?
First to 30 wins.
First to 30.
So I'm in the lead actually, if that's all it is, because I've got 10.
No, that can't be it. That's crazy.
So you know what? Here's the thing: for there to be a target, you'd have to all agree to bet every week and not dip out.
But Gary, if you had a fighter and your fighter was 10-6, what would you prefer your fighter to be? 10-6 or 9-3?
This doesn't help establish what the target is. You're asking where the target is so you can actually get to the finish line. We're going to have to discuss that off camera, okay? Well, let's do that.
Okay. All right.
Guys.
So before we do that, let's finish with this.
All right.
Today in the fight world, Michael Olajide remained number 1. He moved back into the king's slot. I thank you.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Okay.
Come on, y'all, dance. Come on, Gary. Come on now, move it.
All right, let's wrap the show up. Cut that noise. Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in. We have been Sugar, Silk, and Stretch. Silk is in the lead in the scoreboard in case you didn't actually pick that up already.
Yes.
We'll be back again next week, starting Friday. We'll be back again on Sunday, covering the latest fight action in the world and so much more besides. Thanks for your support.